Hey YouTube, this is Kaim Interviews, and I'm your host, Tim Kaim, and today I want to talk about the top 10 best Saosin songs, and they're going to be ranked. So if you haven't gotten the gist yet, I'm probably one of the biggest Saosin fans ever. I mean, they've even written it out on a CD that I had them sign. There's an old video of me kind of talking about Saosin and how I pre-ordered everything and blah, blah, blah. And at the end I say, #1 Saosin fan, fuck off. And Chris from Saosin saw that in the MySpace days and replied to it, and he thought it was hilarious. And he even remembered me, of course, because I was pretty much their biggest fan. And so that's kind of been my reputation since. The band is a huge inspiration on my life, and I wouldn't be where I am today in terms of music journalism or even having much of an interest in musicians or bands or whatever if it weren't for Saosin and my obsession with the damn band. So without further ado, this is my top 10 best Saosin tracks, and they will be in order from 10 to 1. Number 10, I Can Tell There Was an Accident Here Earlier. This is one of my favorite earlier Saosin tracks, and although it's not technically from the Translating the Name EP, it is very strong, and it's probably one of the most energetic, melodic, and chaotic older Saosin songs that brings much nostalgia to my life, and I'm sure other Saosin fans. Number 9 for me is actually 7 Years. I know that some people would think that would probably be rated a little bit higher on the list, but 7 Years for me is, of course, a special place in my heart, and just letting you know, making a top 10 list for Saosin was probably one of the most difficult things that I've ever done. The fact that these are ranked puts like a lot of pressure on me that I have to say this song is better than this song, and depending on what day of the week or which way the wind blows, this could change. So 7 Years for me is number 9, and that is because it is one of my favorite tracks, no doubt, but it's not the best in terms of what Saosin got to and the music that they made that suited me and my taste a little bit better. Number 8 is Second Guesses. This was a song on their newest record that they made with Anthony Green as he returned to Saosin, and I loved this track so much. It was a breath of fresh air for me, and the best track on the entire record. This is actually the only track from their newest record that I have in my top 10 list. To me, this song is like Mookie's Last Christmas on steroids. The production's better, the melody's better, the guitars are just as noodly and fun. I absolutely love this track, and I think it is probably one of the best songs Anthony Green's done with Saosin. Number 7 for me is Bury Your Head. I absolutely love this track. I would even say the EP version of Bury Your Head is better than the actual album version that was on their self-titled. I love the beefier drums in that EP, and I love the dirtier mix. I just think it's fun, and I just prefer it. I don't know. I just think it's a great song, and I think it fits really well into the Saosin discography. Despite the many singles that Saosin had from their self-titled, I think this one definitely stands out as one of the best. Number 6, Translating the Name, which is, of course, is the title track for their EP that they originally created with Anthony Green. I absolutely love Translating the Name. To me, it is probably one of my favorite songs from the EP, and again, listed higher than 7 Years, so I think that's something to note here. I just think it's catchier, and I love the way Cove performed it as well. I think he did really well at translating that, no pun intended, for the Saosin sound without Anthony. Number 5, and this is the last song that I kind of give ode to Anthony Green for, and the rest of this list is kind of Cove-era songs. This number 5 slot is saved for Mookie's Last Christmas. I mean, I know I said Second Guesses is Mookie's Last Christmas on steroids, but of course, nothing beats the original, right? The first time something is done, it is more nostalgic, and you just have a special place in your heart for a song. So Mookie's Last Christmas, to me, makes number 5. I just love the lyrics, I love the way it feels, and I love the breath of fresh air and how different it is kind of from the faster-paced Saosin songs that they've created. Number 4 for me, probably a more underrated track that most people wouldn't have on their list, especially this high, but Finding Home from their self-titled. Finding Home to me has just been a song that gives me peace. I don't know, something about it just leaves room for a breath of fresh air in terms of the chaotic nature of the self-titled. And not a bad chaotic. Of course, I love the entire self-titled. It's like my favorite record ever. But I just think that Finding Home kind of gives you this space to breathe and just relax and enjoy the beautiful sound that Saosin creates in the midst of so many moving parts of the self-titled. Number 3, obviously one of their large singles, probably one of their biggest singles ever, You're Not Alone. I think that You're Not Alone can get a lot of hate from, you know, normal Saosin superfans as being basic or a sellout song or whatever, but I really, really love You're Not Alone. I think it's one of the catchiest choruses I've ever heard in my life. I think the songwriting was perfect, and I think Howard Benson did a great job pulling amazing vocals from Cove And I think the track is just supreme in terms of how they marketed themselves to a large audience. If it weren't for You're Not Alone, I'm sure there's a lot of people that would have never heard about Saosin and given them the platform that they have now. So I think you got to tip your hat to You're Not Alone, and I really think it's a great track, and I definitely think it's in the top 3 of all time for Saosin tracks. Number 2, obviously, probably another one of their biggest singles ever, Voices, and I just think the song is one of their biggest singles for a reason. Voices, I think, overall represents Saosin the best in terms of it being a fast-paced, great melodic song. I loved Cove's vocals. This was the first song that really got me invested in Saosin. I loved 7 Years, but I wasn't fully invested in the Saosin sound until Voices. I think the track is really powerful in many ways. The drums are incredibly tasteful and creative. The guitars are fun and energetic. The vocals are melodic and catchy, and I just love everything about this song. Now, I'm sure you guys are wondering what my number 1 spot is, given that I've kind of already given out the 2 singles that really encompass the Beatle record, and you know that nothing else is coming from Anthony Green. So, without further ado, my number 1 slot is actually a curveball. The song is Nothing Is What It Seems from In Search of Solid Ground. Now, I know this is my only track that made my top 10 list from In Search of Solid Ground, but I absolutely love this track. The way this song punches in the verses as well as the chorus are equally contributing to just an overall great Saosin song. This song is definitely underrated, and it's definitely not talked about enough, but it is my favorite Saosin song. I definitely think that, you know, given on what day you're talking to me, it could be, you know, my top 3 interchangeable. But I do think Nothing Is What It Seems will always be in the top 2 for me. So there you go. There's my top 10 favorite Saosin songs ranked. Thank you for putting me through that headache. I really wanted to make this video for other Saosin fans and people that have never checked out Saosin or possibly only know a fraction of their discography, like maybe just Translating the Name or their newer album or just the Beatle record, the self-titled. So I really think that you guys should check out all of their albums. I really vouch for every single Saosin record, and I think they're an amazing band. They are my favorite band. Some honorable mentions that I want to talk about throughout these Saosin tracks are Let Go Control, which is a bonus track off of their self-titled that a lot of people don't know about. This song isn't on their Spotify at all, so you're going to have to go to YouTube or SoundCloud or something like that to listen to it, but it's a great track and a breath of fresh air in terms of what Saosin normally puts out. Some Sense of Security is another honorable mention, again on their self-titled, but I think that track is often overlooked in terms of the whole, I guess, track list for the self-titled, but it's a really great fast beat song with amazing drums. The Stutter Says a Lot from their newest record I think is really great. It almost made the top 10 list, but just not quite, so I had to put it in the honorable mentions, but that's another great track that people should check out. What Were We Made For from In Search of Solid Ground is another favorite of mine and another honorable mention that people don't give enough credit in terms of In Search of Solid Ground just not quite holding up to the self-titled, but it's still an amazing record that I think people need to check out. And my last honorable mention is Fireflies, as that was Saosin's great stab at stepping out of their comfort zone and doing a really good job at it. This track is very long, but sometimes when I just want to go on a peaceful drive, I turn this track on and I think it's an amazing, peaceful sound. The band did a really good job at just making people feel their emotion and understanding what they were going for. This is definitely the most different song from Saosin, and I just don't think it gets enough praise, so it has to go in my honorable mentions. So guys, let me know, what are your top 10 favorite Saosin tracks? You don't need to rank them like I did, because damn, it's a headache, and it's very hard to kind of categorize such a great discography that the band has. But let me know, what are some tracks that I missed that you would absolutely put on your top 10? Fight me on it and give me your input. It's all fun and games here, you guys. I mean, opinions are accepted, as you guys all know, and I think it creates an interesting conversation for all of us in the music community here. So let me know what your thoughts are in the comments below. Connect with you on social media. Like, comment, subscribe, all that stupid stuff. Thank you for watching. As always, this is Kyle Interviews. Peace out.